Good morning. It's about 6 a.m. and I'm getting ready for work. So I decided to do a little video to show you how to do just a really simple winged liner look and a bold red lip. So I already have my skincare on my face and my brows on. So I'm gonna go ahead and just get started with the eyes. I'm gonna be using the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. This color is light, so this is the lightest of the entire range of colors. I like it because not only is it really, really bright, but also has kind of a pinky undertone. So it's gonna really brighten up my eye space. I'm gonna go ahead and use this on my lid as a primer. And then I'm also going to use it as my concealer under my eye because it is early and I'm gonna need to make myself look alive. Okay, go in with my handy dandy 252 from MAC and just carve this out. So I don't do this all the time, but when I'm doing a clean look, I kind of want the entire look to come together. And I feel like a nice sharp brow with a really sharp wing line is the way to go. And I am going to put a little bit of shadow on my lid too, because I feel like we need a good backdrop for that wing. It's very rare that you'll see me with just wing liner and like nothing on my lid space. So right now my daughter is sleeping. My husband is home, so I'm able to do this. But normally she starts waking up around this time, so this is when I start working really quickly. All right. And as usual, don't worry about it being too clean because you're gonna come in and clean it up after. One of the many reasons I love doing my my eyes before my foundation. All right, so now I'm bright white. I'm gonna go ahead and set this a little bit with some powder, my Dior Skin Forever and Ever Control Powder, which I'll end up using as a finishing powder for my foundation too. And I'm gonna go ahead and just put a really thin coat across the entire lid space. So I think it's kind of important to use something light and powdery underneath whatever eyeshadow look you're building, because I feel like it gives a smoother platform for the shadow to be pulled across. That way you're not creating like a muddy look because the concealer or whatever primer you're using is still wet. So this just kind of gives you that peace of mind. All right, so I'm all set. So I decided to use just a basic Morphe brushes palette. This is an older one that I have had, but I use it a lot just because it has like everything you need. There's like browns, neutrals, super, super easy. So I'm gonna dig in with a blending brush. This is a Morphe brush, little kind of like a tapered. It's like how you want the 224 to be like at MAC. Back when it was real hair, it was so much better. Sorry to say, but I do not like the synthetic MAC brushes. So Morphe's is synthetic, but it's just a fluffier texture. Okay, so I'm gonna use this one. Obviously, I use it a lot. It's like almost gone, but I want just like a really neutral brown in my crease. So I'm gonna start with that and just kind of sway it back and forth. I'm gonna build up that crease. This is like the backdrop, and we're just gonna build on top of that. And there it is. Pushing it up into the brow. More often than not, you'll see my shadow looking more diffused and soft rather than harsh. This I just feel like is a really pretty look for most people. Just a nice, soft, diffused look. So I'm getting messy with it. I'm going all the way up. Really fitting it in that little crevice under my brow bone and in the soft tissue of my lid. Cool. And there we go, all the way up to the brow. So on top of that first color, I'm gonna dip something a little bit darker. I think I'm gonna go in with this one right next to it. Just because it's a darker brown, but it's a little bit warm. It's less ashy than some of the other browns in the palette. And I want to kind of stay with the same undertone. And so for this, I'm just going to wiggle it into my deep crease. So the deep crease is just basically like a same area, but just a little bit more controlled. So you can see the difference. It's subtle, but this side's a little bit more detailed. And I go all the way across. I remember a trick I learned a long time ago is all about placement of this darker color. For me, I like to kind of pull my eyes closer together rather than further apart. So I like to do a darker buildup in the inner corner. That tends to create the illusion that your eyes are being pulled together closer. I don't know why I'm sweating at 6 a.m., but I am. And it's not hot outside, so help me, help me. Okay. So we're getting there. I'll show you guys a cut crease look another day, but this is supposed to look just diffused and soft. Like, I love that. I'm not gonna put anything on my lid today because this is not like a lid focus. It's more just like we want a backdrop for that liner, and I don't really want to focus too much on the lid. I want to focus on this kind of softer, fluffier shadow look. Okay. So as you can see, a little bit smoky. I'm gonna clean up a little bit. I like to clean up with the same powder that I used to set, same brush, and I'm just gonna kind of fluff it across the edge. Anytime you feel like you've built up too much shadow anywhere, just go ahead and dip back into that soft setting powder and just clean it up. Just clean that bad boy up. All right, see, so now it's kind of like softened up that little harsh line there. Okay, so first I'm gonna fan myself because I am just so hot right now. And we're gonna go ahead and just dive into the liner. So it's actually funny because I tried to do this video last night with a darker backdrop, and every time I came in to do the liner, it would just like, my face would just get washed out by light. I don't know if it was the contrast of the darkness behind me. So I've already tried to do this video one time and I failed. I'm gonna do it again, and hopefully this time we don't have that same issue. Okay, so the liner I'm using is the Eye and Brow Maestro from Armani. This is pretty amazing. It's actually meant for eyebrow, but I discovered it one day because I needed to touch up my liner, and this stuff worked amazing. It doesn't crease, it's water resistant, it stays all day, and it's really, really opaque and intensely black, which I really like for an eyeliner. And then I'm going to use this little angle brush here. This is actually a brow brush from Dior, but the stiffness and the shortness of it is like my absolute favorite, because when I'm doing my liner, I really like to focus on small details, and I feel like with a bigger brush, you kind of just get whatever the brush gives you, whereas with this one, you have a little bit more control. So I'm gonna go ahead and start by kind of just placing where I want my liner. So I normally just take my bottom line and extend it out. I think that's a pretty good rule of thumb, is if you just extend where your eye naturally is, you will not have an issue creating that perfect wing. Okay, so that's that first line. Just a little extension out. Then I'm just gonna connect it and pull it back in towards the lash line. So like this little like kind of triangle corner. And I have to say, it's really hard for me to do this with one hand, because typically when I'm doing liner, I'm like pulling out and really like getting in there. So bear with me, this is gonna be a little bit more bumpy of a ride, just because I'm not able to do what I really want to do, which is pull that skin out. I remember as a child, not as a child, maybe like middle school, my mom scared me by saying if you ever pull or tug around your eyes when you're doing your makeup, it's gonna give you wrinkles. Mom, I don't know if that's true because I'm okay right now at 31 years old and I've been pulling and tugging on my eye for like a long time. So I'm not going to focus too much on the actual end of the wing. I want to make sure that the line is straight and then I can extend it after. But this part is pretty crucial. Especially the lash extensions. I think people get scared to do a top liner with lash extensions, but don't be afraid to. Just be really, really careful about how you're pulling that brush along. Obviously, if you're gonna go in and like aggressively rip it across your eye, you're gonna pull some lashes out, but I'm really, really gentle. I'm kind of doing like a patting motion right across. And then just pulling it down into the lash line so you don't get that weird gap of space between the top of your wing and the base of your lashes. Okay, so now I'm gonna get in and do like the inner corner. Oh, see, I'm trying to use the, the camera as a mirror, but it's not gonna happen. So we're just gonna pull this. I'm gonna meet it in my inner corner and just meet midway. Just combining the two lines coming from different directions. And then pulling all the way down. Perfect. All right, so now I can kind of extend that bottom line a little bit. So all I do to extend is I meet with the wing and I just pull it out. I think the key with getting that wing to be really sharp is as you're pulling away, you're kind of pulling up and off the skin. So it's kind of like up, because if you just leave your brush and drag it along, you're gonna have this really blocky, harsh line. And what we're trying to do is just make it as light and thin as possible. So it's all about your pressure here. Look at that beautiful, crispy line. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and do it on the other side. Pray that this is gonna work because they don't always match. They don't. Okay, so same thing. I'm going to create that little extension of my eye. That little line there. I'm gonna cut it across like that. I'm going to fill in that little space. Little motions. Ta-da! Okay, so now we're just gonna fully pull the line across the top of the lid on this side. And if you notice my lash extensions, all I'm doing is just pulling them down out of the way. Just be gentle. I think that when you give yourself the nice flat space like that, it's much easier. Perfect. So it's looking good. Wow, one-handed eyeliner. That's a challenge. Okay, so now what I do is I look at both sides. This side needs to be extended a little bit to match this side. So I just keep going back in, back and forth, and pull it out. Look at that. Looking good. Again, I'm just kind of like whipping it out and like lifting off the skin as I'm pulling to extend it. Gorgeous. So once you have that starting off point, you can like make that wing as thick as you want it to. I like the technique of doing just the perfect equal-sided wing, and then when I want it to be larger, I just add on top of it. That way I'm not trying to get overzealous and create this humongous wing right off the bat. I can build on it. So I'm gonna add a little bit more thickness here. Just little things like that. Things that you can do once the wing is on. Looks good. All right, so there's our wing. Yay! So I'm going to just skip ahead into foundation because I'm gonna go back to the eye a little bit, but I wanna get the the bulk of the makeup on. So as I discovered yesterday or 2 days ago in making that first video, this brush from BH Cosmetics is an amazing foundation brush. It like buffs everything out so easily. So I'm gonna use it again. And I'm gonna use the Air Flash foundation from Dior in an aerosol can. If you look at the description of this foundation, it'll tell you to just spray it directly onto the face, but that's not gonna work for me. Sorry, that's just too messy. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply it onto the actual brush and just apply it all over. This color is 301 from Dior, but Dior is actually going to be changing their color spectrum pretty soon. There's gonna be a different numbering system. I don't remember offhand what the 301 is going to become, but if you have questions about it, I can clarify that for you later. But this also has a more kind of yellowy base, which I like. This is a little bit softer coverage than the Dior Forever Undercover foundation I used the last time. You can get it to be full coverage, but it takes a little bit more product. I feel like this is a more natural full coverage, if that makes sense. It's a little bit lighter of a wear. Looks a little bit more like skin. So if you like full coverage, but you don't like that feel or that cakiness, or you just tend to get kind of like caked up over time throughout the day, this is a good foundation. Because it just kind of like perfects the tone of your skin without being heavy. It looks good. Don't forget the jawline. All right, so now I'm all one tone. Go back in with my Tarte Shape Tape in Light, and this is lighter than I normally do it, but I want to have like a really bright under eye area today because these dark circles and bags are not the business right now. Okay, I'm gonna comb this underneath, right down the side of the nose. Same thing on this side. A little bit down the bridge of the nose, underneath the nostrils. I look crazy. All right, I'm gonna blend it out. This is the secret to making it look like you had more sleep than you did. I don't know why I got into the habit of reading like true crime before bed. But then I go down this rabbit hole of horror and then I can't freaking sleep. And my nightmares are crazy. For those of you who don't know, I'm a true crime junkie. I cannot stop. I don't know why. Ever since I was a kid. All right. Buffing that out all the way out. I always go all the way to the hairline with the concealer. Oh my God, look at the difference that makes already. It's like coffee for your face. Don't worry if you get the wing a little bit dirty with a concealer. We can clean it up. That's the beauty of makeup. You can clean up your mess after, it's okay. All right, so now I'm all highlighted. Oh yeah. Okay. So we're gonna do a soft little bit of setting on top of that using my powder that I dropped on the ground. I don't know what the heck happened to it, so we're gonna improvise. I thought I heard something drop earlier while I was filming. We're gonna use something old school. This is my Ben Nye Luxury Powder in Cameo. So this is actually pretty funny, but I remember a long time ago when Kim K first became famous for her makeup, everybody was saying that her makeup artist Mario was using the banana powder from Ben Nye. Well, then he came out later and said it wasn't the freaking banana powder or something else. I don't even know what it was. But I bought all the Ben Nye powder because I'm like, I want to look like that. The banana powder from Ben Nye is for somebody who is Armenian and has a nice deep skin tone. And my pasty butt looked yellow and jaundice. It was way too dark for me. So I found that Cameo is a good color for setting my skin tone. Fun facts. I still have it in my kit though, and I'll use it on people with a nice golden complexion. I do not have a golden complexion unless I go to Hawaii for a week. And even then it lasts for like 24 hours, then it goes away. So Cameo is my color. All right, so I'm just setting it. Because this foundation has to last 10 more hours. Holy moly. So with a good setting powder and a lot of prayer, your foundation will last. Okay. Look at that. Set it and forget it. So I need to put some color back into my face since I've eliminated it. And I'm going to just use, what am I going to use? I'm going to use this little tiny brush. And I'm going to use the Laura Mercier Soleil #1. This bronzer is gorgeous because all of Laura Mercier products are supposed to be light and natural looking. So that's what it is. And then it smells like coconut. Oh, it smells so good. Probably my favorite part about it is not even what it looks like. It's just the fact that it smells delicious and I want to eat it. Good job, Laura Mercier. Make your products smell like food and people will like them. Okay, so I'm just going to add a little bit of color to the face. There we go. Adding some bronze. Okay, cool. Okay, so I'm gonna take a break from the skin for a second because we're looking pretty good. And I wanna go back and revisit the eye. So I am a fan of building up a little bit of color underneath the eye. So now that our foundation is on, our concealer is on, I'm gonna dip back into the brown color we use in my deep crease with a brush like this, which is kind of like a Q-tip. And I'm just gonna comb this right under my lash line. I think it makes the eye just look a little bit more pulled together. Since you have a little bit of buildup of shadow on the top, might as well kind of build it up underneath your eye too. So I'm gonna just comb this right underneath. This is an eyeliner brush. I like to use it for like a really like specific application, but then I will clean it up at the end with another brush, and I'll show you that in a second. But this is just the initial application of that darker color under the eye. As you can see, it's kind of creating this like more smoky effect, which I really like. Just like that. It's okay if it's a little bit messy, because now we're gonna come in with another brush, the 217 from MAC, and I'm gonna go to the first color I used in the crease. So I started with this brown color here. I'm gonna go back to this color here because I wanna just clean up that bottom line and I don't wanna add too much product. So I'm gonna just pop that right underneath and just kind of sweep it back and forth. Again, we're creating that diffused look where there's no harsh lines. Combing it across, back and forth. Technically you could do this before the concealer, but then I feel like you'll go back in and have to do this to clean it up anyways. So we're just gonna save ourselves the trouble and apply it at the end of the concealer and everything. Super pretty, nice and smoky. And I'm gonna go ahead and just line the bottom lash line with some black liner. This is the Dior Show Pro Liner. It's really cool because it has like this little angle to it. And so your hand can just like drag it naturally along the lash line. So I'm gonna comb that through. Just giving the look a little bit more definition. See the difference? It's there. This liner is actually pretty bomb. It's probably not the most intense black liner you can use, but this stuff really stays put. Like when you put it in your waterline, it doesn't shift around and it lasts a long time. And while we're on the topic of liners with lash extensions, for those of you like me who wear lash extensions, you have to be really careful about removing this at the end of the night. I always suggest using micellar water. Dior has a really great no-wash micellar water cleanser that will break down the product without breaking down the adhesive of your lashes like an oil-based makeup remover would. So I definitely recommend using micellar water when it comes to taking this off at the end of the night, because you want to retain as much lash as possible while still getting the full effect of the eyeliner. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and comb on some mascara. I'm gonna switch it up this time. I normally use the Pump and Volume mascara from Dior, but I'm gonna use the Dior Addict It Lash, which is pretty cool because the bristles are nice and short and you can really comb it across in a clean way. I'm telling you guys, bottom mascara is necessary. Don't skip it. See that? So pretty. Same thing on the other side. I can hear my stomach growling. Side effects of doing a morning tutorial. So pretty. Okay, so now that we have that smoky eye, you might notice that sometimes the liner gets a little bit powdery. So I'm just gonna go back in with my liner and just do a little touch up at the end. Just a little bit, because you want it to be solid. So I think when it comes to liner, you have to think that every time your brush touches the face, it's going to create some kind of impact. So don't just go in and start dabbing it and going crazy. Like, really think about placement, where you're putting your brush, what's going to happen when you lay your brush, where you're laying it, and be really gentle. You don't have to rush this process. Gorgeous. Okay, so now I'm going to go in and do a little bit of a highlight. What highlight do I want to use? I'm actually going to go back into my Tarte Pro Glow palette. Obviously, I use it a lot. I took this from my sister. I'm the makeup one, but I will take makeup for my sister if she has something I like and I know she's not using. So I'm going to use Stunner from this palette and just comb that right on the cheekbone. Get that glow. Adding that highlight makes such a difference to your makeup. I hope that we do highlight for like the next 30 years. You know how like makeup trends change? I hope the highlighter stays in rotation. Even if it doesn't, I'm still gonna wear it. I don't care. I'm gonna be that grandma with a highlight. A highlight and tattoos. So pretty. Okay, I'm gonna show you my favorite blush ever. This is Pincho Peach from MAC. This is my absolute favorite blush. It's so pretty. I actually keep it in my purse. And if you've hung out with me, I may have even applied it to you because I feel like everybody needs it. Look at that pink, perfect blush. I'm gonna say it every single time. I love blush. I think blush is the most important thing. Okay, look at gorgeous. All right, so I like what's happening here. What I want to do next is I want to dive into my lips. So I'm gonna use my 999 Dior Ultra Rouge lipstick, which is this beautiful bright red. And I need a good liner to go with it. And I had kind of gone back and forth with which one I wanted to use, but I decided I'm gonna use True Red from Laura Mercier. I don't know if Laura Mercier still carries this. I know they're kind of like switching over into a new type of liner. I'm just gonna pat my lips down. But True Red, if you can get your hands on it, is a beautiful like orangey red. Okay, so I don't know why, but I'll start with my bottom lip. Kind of cut it across. And I fill my whole lip in. almost fill my whole lip in. Kind of fill in gaps and spaces. And you better believe that I overline. I am a fan. Cupid's bow. Looking good. Okay, so this looks pretty good. But I want to clean up the outer corners a little bit. Easiest way to do that is just to go back in with your 252 or whatever brush you use. So still have a little bit of product on it, and then clean it up. Oh, sorry. Perfect. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and just comb the, oh, it has some road down here. We gotta clean that up. There we go. There's nothing cute about red lip liner all over your chin. Okay, so now I'm going with my lipstick. Ooh, it's brand new. I love brand new lipstick. And comb that across. 999 is Dior's, like, favorite red. So pretty. And then you can always go back in with your liner, your true red, and touch up. Can you guys hear the birds outside? It's legit early morning situation. So pretty. Okay, so all right, there you have it. So there's your wing liner, smoky kind of shadow look, and then a bold red lip.